Astrometeorology, Astrology of Weather, written, produced, and directed by Rev Dr Dikki-Jo Mullen. In this new presentation, Dr. Mullen discusses the lore of astrometeorology over the centuries and offers several weather rituals associated with zodiac signs. Now we will listen to Dr. Mullen's presentation.
Everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. That famous quote came from Mark Twain, and it really kind of embodies the importance of astrometeorology. And we all talk about the weather and would like to do something about it, and we might be able to a little bit about that later on in the video. But one of the major applications of astrology, and of course, astrology began with the various almanacs that have been popular for hundreds of years, is to predict the weather. A while back, I was having to deal with a skeptic who said he didn't believe in astrology, and that's fine. Whenever anyone says that, I just change the topic to cats or gardening or other things that I'm interested in and avoid the trouble. But this time I really thought about it because he said, I don't believe in astrology, but I believe in weather, and weather affects people. And of course, I just kept smiling because astrology is all about everything. It's about where you live and how, it's about relationships, health, and it is about the weather. So let's talk about how the weather and astrology will affect all of us in the new year ahead, 2026. As in thinking about the weather, the moon is the primary factor. In fact, you can become a really good astrologer just by learning to work with the moon signs alone really well. For those of you who say astrology is too complicated, begin with the moon and begin with the weather. All you really have to know is what day the new moon follows in each month to begin to use the astrology of weather. Weather changes occur on the day of the new moon, and this is a list of the new moons in the year ahead, 2026, for you to observe and refer back to each month and see how the weather is set. The pace for the weather is set for the month by the new moon. You'll notice that we have two eclipses this year on new moons, one on February the 17th, which is a partial eclipse, and then the really important one, more about that later, is on August the 12th, which is a total eclipse. And the new moon dates are given for East Coast United States time. If there's a day difference in your own list of the new moons, you might be looking at a different calendar. All of the books are calculated for Greenwich, England, and then changed according to the different time zones as we need them. And so, since I live in Orlando, Florida, we've done the East Coast times, and so there can be just a little bit of difference there. As you look at the sign of the new moon, if that happens to be your own birth sign, that also will set the pace for your own year ahead. January the 18th of 2026, the new moon happens to be in Capricorn. Now, Capricorn and the sign Saturn are related especially to very cold weather. And of course, you can say that's deep winter. Of course, it'll be cold weather, but all of that's astrology. And so that is going to be affecting the mood of the new moon. It's also a time when rocks and stones and possibly earthquake activity can be active in parts of the world. So kind of watch for that and see what's happening. Looking a little further at some of the other factors, fog is related to Neptune and the sign of Pisces. Water in general, flooding, rainfalls will be the moon and the sign of Cancer. Stagnant water is Scorpio. Weather forecasters, your favorite weather person would be Mercury. And some weather people have become real celebrities just by talking about the weather. And those that are gifted with that will have a strong Mercury in their birth charts. If you particularly like a certain weather person, whether it's local or a national celebrity, there's probably a tie in your own birth chart with the planet Mercury. Weather in general is the fourth house of a place or an area. And we'll be looking at the fourth house for a chart a little bit later on. The fourth house is your housing, your home. If you want to see whether you're going to be harmed by odd, unusual weather, looking to see where the fourth house in your own birth chart is affected by weather indicators would be important. A really interesting phrase related to weather is thunder snow. Isn't that a great phrase? Thunder snow. And that's in the rare circumstances where there's lightning and thunder related to a snowstorm. Thor, of course, was the god of thunder in mythology, and mythological archetypes relate to astrology. And thunder snow is related to Jupiter, the planet that relates to Thor, and the day Thursday, of course, Jupiter's day in the 7 days of the week relates to thunder snow. Lightning is Uranus. Here in Florida, we're in the lightning capital of the world, and people are periodically struck by lightning when they stay at the beach too long when there's lightning out there. If you're worried about being struck by lightning yourself, look at the planet Uranus in your own birth chart. Extreme heat is related to Mars, the sun, the sign of Aries and Leo, and sunspot activity and solar eruptions. Earthquake activity, Uranus and Pluto, mud and mudslides would be the planet Pluto too. Snow would be Neptune, Saturn, Capricorn. Floods are Pluto and also the sign of Scorpio. Mild, gentle breezes, nice weather would be Mercury. Stronger winds would be Uranus. Hurricanes have a tie with Uranus and with the third house of the birth chart. The third house is the neighborhood, and that may be where that tie comes in. But it was just very interesting. Your vehicle damaged would be Neptune. If you're going to have your car stuck in a flood or otherwise damaged by weird weather, that's going to be the planet Neptune. Hey, let's go through the different signs through the year and speak a little bit more specifically. We talked about January the 18th. January the 17th could be a very important weather day. That new moon is on a partial eclipse, and it's going to be in the sign of Pisces. This could involve floods and snowstorms also, because snow is water, and anything to do with water pipes bursting because of the storm and because of colder weather could tie in with February the 17th in some parts of the world. March 18th, we have just on the eve of the first day of spring, another eclipse, rather a new moon in the sign of Pisces. This can also tie in with weather and weather patterns. April the 17th will be Aries, and this could have to do with fires, exceptionally warm weather for that time of the year, and a hot weather trend beginning, even in places other than Florida. May 16th is a new moon in the sign of Taurus. That could relate to earthquake activity and also anything to do with other land shifts and the way land is affected by rain and other weather, such as bridges collapsing, and then also storms that would be affecting the sides of mountains. June 14th, we have an air sign new moon in the sign of Gemini, and this could be strong winds and or gentle breezes. June is usually a mild weather month. It isn't quite hurricane season, and it just tends not to be too terribly hot. A gentle, mild breeze and possibly stronger winds would be affecting us during June. July 14th is the water sign of Cancer, and this could relate to water-related waves from the ocean, maybe tsunami activity or exceptionally high surf, and then also lots of rainstorms. Jupiter, the planet of excesses, will be in Cancer at that time too. So we could have to deal with some strong weather related to water slides and the ocean, lakes and streams, rivers overflowing, and rainfall. August the 12th, if we want to look at the chart for this date, is a really exciting complete horoscope to look at. This is a total eclipse. An eclipse is an exact alignment of the sun, moon, and earth, or exact opposition, and they're like super strong full and new moons. Many people will argue with me and say that full moons are the important days to look at weather. And I will agree that weather trends can reach a peak. There can be an extreme time under the full moon, but the new moon is when the weather changes occur, and that's when we want to do our predictions. And so let's take a look at the solar eclipse of August the 12th, 2026. It's exact at 1:37 p.m. That's Eastern Daylight Time. And the chart is set for Orlando, Florida. So the houses may not be important around the rest of the country and the world, but the house positions will be, or rather the sign positions will be. This particular eclipse is at 20 degrees and 2 minutes of Leo, and that's the very beginning of the third decade of Leo, which is a co-rulership with Mars. And so this is the Sun, which is Leo, and Mars. There's a degree symbol from degrees of the Zodiac related to this degree, which is a serpent face coiling on a snake. That suggests the Kundalini, and that would be the Middle and Far East, the countries of India and surrounding India and Pakistan. So weather news from that part of the world might be particularly important. The sun and Mars for all of us suggest fire, watching out for firestorms in the wind and extremely hot weather, and allowing for that and the way that might affect our health and well-being. That will be very, very important. And of course, the new moons are 4 weeks apart, so each new moon that we're talking about through the year sets the pace for the 4 weeks following that lunation. And that was the one that looked really, really significant to me as I was looking at the different new moons. September 10th, we have a new moon in the sign of Virgo. Health conditions can be affected by weather, and that might be the case with that new moon. That will be in an earth sign. And so things to do with landslides that might be affected by water, mountains, mountain streams being affected, earthquake activity, anything to do with the land. October the 10th, that new moon will be in the sign of Libra. And weather often ties in with health insurance and the insurance that we have generally to protect ourselves against weather patterns, property destruction, and so forth. And so looking at October 10th, I thought of Libra. October 10th as a special sign with law, and that there might be some weather-related claims. And it would relate to wind damage because, of course, Libra is an air sign. November the 9th is going to be another water sign, and this can tie in with the astrology of rain and with anything to do with water damage to your property. December the 8th is another fire sign. And the new moon there might relate to a heat storm, heat weather extremes related to temperature extremes, very, very hot to very, very cold on December 8th of 2026. And then also, there may be another problem in some part of the world with fire and wind related to fire. Well, when we think of weather, we often think of weather magic. How about the rain dances during drought conditions in previous times? And there may be some drought conditions off and on from June of 2026 to June of 2027 because Jupiter, the planet that relates to extremes, will be in the fire sign of Leo that entire time. We often hear about rain dances going on. And often, Native American rain dancers really do affect the weather. For most of us, that's kind of beyond our ability, but there is a weather sigil, a weather sign that I'll show you that can protect your home from extreme weather. And if you want to copy this from the video or make a note of it and do your own artwork, this sigil you can see now at this time. And it's very powerful. Here in Florida, people are really afraid of storms and weather damage related to storms related to our hurricane season. We've had good reports, not everybody, but many people have made it through the hurricane season by putting this up somewhere in your home. You can put it just on the refrigerator with magnets or put it in a window, whatever might seem very, very interesting or positive to you. Also, there's another very, very strong bit of weather magic that you can do. If you can find a Hagg stone, a Hagg, H-A-D-G stone, is a stone that has a hole in it, a naturally occurring hole. And those are very prized as weather amulets among those who do weather magic. If you can't find one, a favorite crystal that just has a top attached to it, that you can string something on would be good so that you can hang this from your door. And if you can find a Hagg stone and you can say this chant to it 3 times, that will also protect you from wicked weather. The chant goes like this: Storm unwind, wind I bind, oceans calm like a balm. Storm abate, cloud deflate, wind I bind, storm unwind, storm, unwind. You say that through 3 times. I'll repeat it one more time now. But if you say it, remember the third time is the charm. And whenever saying a prayer or a chant, the number 3 is extremely important. Storm unwind, wind I bind, ocean calm like a balm. Storm abate, clouds deflate. Wind I bind, storm unwind. And after the third time, say Amen or so be it. And that will bless you from any storm that might be around. It's a little simple ritual and really has a lot of power. Years ago, before there were computerized astrology charts, I was working with Sybil Leek, a famous astrologer, and also a witch and metaphysician who lived here in Florida. She was from England originally, but she lived in Brevard County, Florida. And we met her through an antique shop that she had opened. And my mother and I went there to visit, and you can see I'm a Cancer. Cancers always mention mom one way or another. And my mother started talking to her, and I was too shy to do this at the time because I was just in my early teens. But my mother told Sybil that I had the ability to calculate charts, which I did. And I managed to get a job with Sybil Leek, calculating all the math on her horoscopes, which was really wonderful. Had a chance to meet her. And she was very big into weather magic. There's a famous picture of her in Brevard County standing at the ocean with her arms out, calling the wind. And you can call the wind yourself. I'm going to give you Sybil's chant to do. And I actually was speaking in Brevard County at a home circle, a metaphysical study group, and the hostess threw me out of the house because she didn't want the wind called into her home. So she let me go out into the yard with the people that were interested and call the wind there. But you don't want to in Florida call the wind into your home. However, I think it's safe enough to do it outdoors. And come to think of it, I don't think I'd say this from inside my home seriously, but since we're only saying it once and not three times, I'll go ahead and do it. The chant goes like this. By the way, if you're in a sailboat and don't have a power source on a motor on the sailboat and you're becalmed and stuck at sea, this can also be used for this. It's a very famous chant that goes all the way back to the time of the tall ships when weather magic and being stuck or becalmed in a storm could be life-threatening. It goes like this. Hold your arms out. I'll do this like this so you can see me. And stand erect, face into the direction you want the wind to come from. And you say, "Come hither, sir, come hither, my lord. Let down your locks so long and flowing. Come hither, sir, come hither, my lord. Let down your locks so long and flowing." Say that the third time, and then just turn and walk away, having faith that the wind will follow you. It might be sooner or later, but believe me, within a very little bit of time, it will. Let's talk about the wind, which relates, of course, to Mercury and to the air signs of the zodiac, and the different winds from the different directions. When the wind is in the east, it's good for neither man nor beast. The east wind, think of nor'easters. Those of you who are from New England and along the East Coast know that when a nor'easter, an exceptional storm, is expected, you want to be very careful of that. So when the wind is in the east, it's good for neither man nor beast. When the wind is in the south, it blows the hook in the fish's mouth. The west-south wind, I'm sorry, the south wind, when the wind is in the south, it blows the hook in the fish's mouth. That's extremely good for being near the waterfront, fishing, but also other waterfront activities like scuba diving, boating, just swimming in the water. The south wind is favorable for that. When the wind is in the north, the old folks should never venture forth. We know that's none of us, but if you know any old folks, keep them inside when the wind is coming in strongly from the north. When the wind is in the north, the old folks should never venture forth. There's something very cold and piercing about the north wind that can affect rheumatism, arthritis. Many people back in the days before there were elaborate types of weather casting would say that they could feel weather changes in their bones and joints. And there is a lot of truth to that. And so the north wind could do that. And finally, the west wind. When the wind is in the west, that for spirituality is the best. The west wind brings you the voices of your ancestors. It processes and cleanses memories of the past. It's very good for mediumship when there's a west wind. And if you're not at peace with your ancestors and you want to speak with them, you want to connect with them, you want to bless and release memories from childhood, if you feel like your family has an ancestral curse, that's something I've been dealing with in my private practice. Many people feel like the Kennedy family is probably the most famous example of an ancestral curse. The west wind can be called to cure that and to draw that away. And so the west wind has a particular feeling for healing and coming to terms with our roots and who we are. There's another simple storm ritual to use that's very effective, involving any sharp knife. If you have a theme or ritual or collectible knife, you can use that. If not, your favorite kitchen knife for slicing bread or whatever will do. In your dominant hand, if you're right-handed, or if you're a lefty, your left hand, you hold your hand above. I'm very right-handed, holding the knife upward. And let's see if we can get a little bit more of a visual here. I'll extend it as far up as I can here on the camera. And hold it around, face which way the wind is coming. Figure out where a storm is headed your way, a hurricane or serious storm. Hold it, make 3 circles, holding the knife in your hand, 3 circles, and then bring it down with all the strength and will you can. Do this outside and drive the knife into the dirt. This will ground the storm. This works extremely well. And so again, face into the wind, holding your knife erect and up, straight up, and make 3 circles, and then holding it, go from the top as high as you can reach down to the ground. Leave it in the ground until the danger of the storm has passed, and then you can retrieve your knife and put it back, maybe give it a bath with the other kitchen implements, and it won't bring anything bad your way. But that surely is effective. That's very easy. And here in Florida, again, we have a lot of reports about storms and storm damage, and that is particularly effective and good. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of astrometeorology, a specialized branch of astrology. I'm astrologer and parapsychologist Dr. Dikki-Jo Mullen in Orlando, Florida.
Thank you for watching the video. Reverend Dr. Dikki-Jo Mullen has been gifted with several psychic learning styles that she has developed over her lifetime. Each of us has been gifted with innate psychic learning styles as well that we may choose to develop. Reverend Dr. Dikki-Jo Mullen is an astrologer, psychic, and parapsychologist. She provides astrology, psychic, rune, and tarot card readings. She provides face-to-face and Zoom readings and seances. She offers webinars, face-to-face individual and group sessions as well. Here are Dr. Mullen's social media sites. Her email recently changed. She offers inspirational insights on her WordPress site. She has more than 200 related videos on her YouTube channel and also maintains a Facebook page. Reverend Dr. Dikki-Jo notes that use of the internet enhances the psychic energy of her work. She observes that this is a result of the fusion of her earthbound energy, her psychic energy, and internet energy working together. She encourages you to explore and develop your innate psychic learning styles.